Have you ever felt your calves burning during a ski run? Or even worse, had them be really sore at the end of a day? Over the years, as a ski coach and as a personal trainer who helps people get ready for ski season, I've actually seen this issue a lot. And I found that usually the solution falls in one of three buckets. It's either going to be something to do with your technique on hill, your fitness in the gym, or maybe your equipment. But to help you figure out which specifically applies to you, let's back up for a second and talk a little bit about the anatomy of our lower leg. Now, our calves are made up of two muscles primarily, and those muscles both end up at the Achilles tendon down here and start at kind of the back of the femur. Those muscles aren't just bolted on, they are also connected to connective tissue that runs all the way up the posterior chain of our body, or the backside of our body. This thick belly-looking muscle is called your gastrocnemius, and it's really powerful. But the shape of this muscle can actually cause problems for some skiers, which we're gonna get to in a minute. But first, underneath that guy is your soleus muscle. The soleus is more of a posture muscle and endurance based, which is going to change the way we train it. So remember that. And 90% of us have another muscle underneath these ones called the plantaris muscle, but 10% of us actually don't have that muscle at all, and we're gonna ignore it for today. But what we really need to know is that all of these muscles really just help us point our toes, something called plantar flexion. And in the real world, or rather on dry land, that plantar flexion helps push us forward when we're walking or running or jumping. Any situation where our hips are already ahead of our midfoot. But this same movement, or trying to do it in ski boots on the hill when our hips are already behind our toes, is actually gonna push us backwards, like this. So a couple ways to know if a technique fix will work for you is if your problem of sore calves also comes with skis chattering, feeling like you don't control your ski tips, they're going all over the place, or actually feeling the back of your calves hitting the back of the boot for most of the turn. If that's what's happening to you, try this instead. When you're starting a ski turn, think of pulling your feet back underneath you, using the bigger muscles of your hips. Start by just standing on the snow and play with pushing your feet forward and pulling them back behind you. This is you going from plantar flexion into dorsiflexion. Then you're gonna take that into a drill. First, you're just gonna do that across the hill. Push your feet out in front of you, pull them behind you, and feel what that feels like to play with the two actions. Then we're gonna transition it into a drill called tall and small, or at least that's what I've always called it. I use it for a number of different technique changes, but it does really work well for pressing your shins into the front of your boot at the start of a turn. What you're gonna do is go straight across the hill. Start by pulling your feet behind you to press into your shins, like you're trying to crush grapes in between your shins and the front of your boot and make grape juice. And then you're gonna make a turn and try and get small over the outside ski before standing up at the end of the turn and starting all over again. And it's best to probably start this on a groomed green run as you're getting the hang of it. Now remember, it's not like by doing this, we're not gonna be using our calves anymore, because we still need those postural muscles and that endurance from our calves to make micro adjustments to where our center of mass is so we can stay balanced on our skis. And that's where a little bit of work in the gym can go a long way when you go skiing. Remember at the beginning when I said the soleus was a postural muscle? Well, it's working to help keep you upright all the time, not even just when you're skiing, but even when you're standing. Even now, if you were to stand on one foot and close your eyes, you're gonna feel the muscles of your feet and your calf turning on and off to keep you upright. Doing a little bit of work in the gym is going to pay dividends when you go out to the mountains. Now, I'm gonna let you in on 2 exercises you can do at home. Both of these exercises are a part of our 8-week pre-ski program. It's all online and you can check it out below. This first one is going to target that power muscle, the gastrocnemius. And you can do it without weight to start, but you're gonna wanna add weight so that you feel yourself using the muscle. What you're gonna do is a 2-part calf let down. So we're gonna start with our knee bent, and we're gonna go until we feel a stretch through the calf muscle. From there, we're then going to straighten the leg until the stretch changes, gets into a different muscle. From there, we are then going to power, point our toes like this, so that we feel that muscle working. But remember how I said that the muscles of the calf are connected to all the muscles along the back of the body via connective tissue? Well, that's why our next exercise is a single leg deadlift. Now, when you're doing these, you can actually start with your back foot planted so that you can focus on feeling the muscles of the glutes, the hamstrings, and the calves working in that front leg. Then when you're ready, you can lift that back leg up off the ground. Now we're gonna lose all of the benefits of this exercise if we bend through the spine instead of hinging over on that front leg. So think of a straight, stable torso as I do this exercise, and really focus on feeling the glutes working, the hamstrings working, and those calves and stabilizer muscles in your feet working as well. Now you're also gonna miss out on all of those muscles if you let your hips open up to the side. And I actually see this a fair bit. Folks will do the exercise this way instead of locking both hips forward to complete their reps. And if you feel like your balance isn't quite there yet and it's hard to feel those muscles, gently place down the toe on the back leg. But remember, it's the front leg that's doing the work. Now our ski program changes the number of reps and sets throughout the program to help you work on strength and power and then on endurance. But if you're just starting with these exercises, I'd focus on doing about 12 for technique first. Really try and focus in and feel the muscles that you're trying to build. Then you can add weight so that you feel like you only have 2 reps left in the tank at the end of a given set. Take long rests at the start and focus on doing the exercise right before adding crazy amounts of weight or reducing your rest. And as an aside, strength in the muscles of your actual feet is a huge component of your posterior chain strength. When I started doing foot-specific exercises, I found that my touch on snow skyrocketed. It was like I unlocked a whole new sense when I was out skiing. So if you'd like me to make a video specifically on that, you should like this video. And if I get 200 likes, then I will get to work right away on that. But if you've put the work in at home and you've tried playing around with different techniques on snow and you're still getting those burning calf muscles, then you might want to take a look at your equipment. Now, I'm the first person to tell you that I am not an equipment expert. In fact, I always get comments on my videos about how old my equipment is. But I did have a client once who his gastrocnemius, this belly muscle, was massive. And it came down really low on his lower leg. What that was actually doing, we figured out, was it was making it so that when he tightened his ski boots, he was cutting off blood flow to his lower leg completely and sort of tourniqueting his calf muscle. Now, it was boot fitting and getting a properly sized boot for him that stopped his calves from burning. And I will be the first person to tell you that when it comes to equipment, you should spend money on your boots before you spend money on your skis or poles or a new ski jacket. But if I was you, I would start with the first 2 free methods, and if those don't help, I would look into the way my boots fit. Now, if you want to know what your superpower is on snow and what your kryptonite is, then you should take our 2-minute free ski quiz below, and I'm going to give you a workout to help you chip away at your kryptonite so you can squeeze more joy out of every day on snow. I hope you learned a lot from this video. If you did, subscribe so you can see our next video, and I hope you have a wilder week. Plantar flexion. Filming, hiking up the hill again. Filming. Dorsiflexion.